Have you ever been pouring your morning coffee when suddenly your hand trembled and the cup spilled? You chuckled, thinking maybe you just slept wrong. But what if it wasn't just fatigue? A 67-year-old man in Michigan had the exact same morning. He was still strong, still walked his dog every day, and he too laughed off those little signs. 3 days later, he was rushed to the hospital with a massive stroke, and he never spoke the same way again. Every year, more than 795,000 Americans suffer a stroke. And what makes this disease so terrifying isn't just how fast it strikes, but that it strikes when you think everything is fine. In this video, we'll uncover together why strokes often come without warning, the tiny signals most people overlook. That can save an entire life. And most importantly, how you and your loved ones can start preventing strokes today. Do you have aging parents or grandparents? Have you seen neighbors or friends suddenly paralyzed, unable to speak, and wondered, if only we had recognized it sooner? Then this video is for you, because just by understanding the truth and recognizing the signs in time, you can stop the worst from happening, to yourself or to someone you love. Let's begin this 30-minute journey, not only to understand strokes, but to learn how to protect your brain, your memories, and your future. 1. What is a stroke? The brain's silent cry. Imagine your brain as a bustling city. Each neuron is like a house, and blood flow is the road that carries oxygen and nutrients to every door. If that road is blocked for just a few minutes, the houses go dark forever. That is a stroke. When blood can't reach part of the brain cells begin to die in an instant. There are two ways this city can collapse. Ischemic stroke, nearly 90% of cases. When a road is blocked, like a massive traffic jam keeping oxygen from reaching where it's needed. Hemorrhagic stroke, when a pipe bursts, blood floods where it doesn't belong, destroying entire neighborhoods. I once knew a woman named Helen, age 70 in Chicago. She was chatting with her neighbor when suddenly her words became jumbled, her left arm fell limp. In just minutes, part of her brain had gone dark. Her family realized she was in the middle of a stroke. The brain doesn't wait. When blood is cut off or leaking, every second means millions of cells disappearing forever. And those cells, they never come back. But what makes stroke so dangerous isn't just the biology, it's the speed. It strikes fast, destroys fiercely, and leaves lasting disabilities. And that leads us to the next question. Why is stroke so deadly? 2. Why time equals brain, the 4.5-hour window that saves lives. Did you know that with every minute of a stroke, nearly 1.9 million brain cells die? That means in just 1 hour, hundreds of millions vanish forever. No brain supplement can bring them back. Stroke is a race against time. Doctors call the first few hours the golden window, usually 3 to 4.5 hours. During this time, doctors can give a special drug called TPA, which dissolves clots, or perform procedures to restore blood flow. But once that window closes, survival is still possible, yet the risk of permanent disability skyrockets. I remember the story of Richard, 68, from Ohio. One morning, while speaking with his wife, his words suddenly slurred and his arm dropped. Without hesitation, his wife dialed 911. Just 45 minutes later, Richard was in the ER and given TPA. 3 weeks after, he was back in his garden, tending to his beloved roses. Doctors admitted, if he had come even 1 hour later, he might never have spoken again. Don't wait to see if it gets better. With stroke, every minute is millions of brain cells lost. Time really is brain. And this is why recognizing early warning signs becomes a matter of life and death. We need a simple survival code that anyone, from a child to a senior, can remember and act on. That code is FAST, a simple formula that can save lives. Let's explore it in the next part. 3. FAST isn't just a word, it's a life-saving code. When you hear the word fast, you might think of speed, but in medicine, fast isn't just a word, it's a life-saving code, a simple set of letters anyone can remember to spot a stroke the moment it strikes. F, face drooping. One side of the face sags, the smile looks crooked. Asast, arm weakness. Raise both arms, one drifts down. S, speech difficulty. Words come out slurred, confused, or not at all. T, time to call 911. Don't hesitate, call immediately. Let me tell you a small story. A 12-year-old girl in Texas was having breakfast with her grandfather when she noticed his face droop, his spoon drop, and his words become jumbled. She had learned fast in a school health class. Instantly, she dialed 911. Thanks to her quick action, her grandfather reached the hospital within 30 minutes and made an almost full recovery. Doctors said if the family had waited, the damage would have been irreversible. Fast isn't just for doctors. It's a code that anyone, even a child, can use to save a life. But here's another truth few people realize. We often think stroke only strikes the elderly. Yet in recent years, more and more young adults are being hit too. So why isn't youth a shield anymore? That's what we'll uncover next. 4. The hidden killers. 7. Risk factors you can't ignore. Stroke is often compared to a sudden storm. But in reality, before that storm hits, there are always hidden forces quietly building inside our bodies. These are the risk factors, things we can control, but too often ignore. High blood pressure, the #1 enemy, like constant pressure on vessel walls until they burst or clog. Diabetes, high blood sugar damages vessels, making them stiff and fragile. High cholesterol, fatty buildup narrowing the blood highways to the brain. Smoking, every cigarette tightens blood vessels, raising clot risk. Excessive alcohol raises blood pressure and triggers irregular heartbeats. Obesity and sedentary lifestyle, long sitting hours, extra weight, little exercise, a breeding ground for stroke. Sleep apnea and atrial fibrillation. Loud snoring or an irregular heartbeat may look harmless, but they're major red flags. I recall David, 52, from Florida. He often felt tired, snored loudly every night, and thought it was just normal aging. One morning, he collapsed in the bathroom from a severe stroke. Doctors revealed years of untreated sleep apnea had silently paved the way. Stroke almost never comes out of nowhere. It's usually the result of years of neglect. And the good news? Most of these risks can be managed, with regular checkups and lifestyle changes starting today. But here's the surprising twist. Even if you're young, fit, and under fee, you're not immune. What's fueling the rise of strokes in younger adults? We'll find out in the next part. 5. When youth isn't protection, the rise of stroke in people under 50. For many, stroke is thought of as an old person's disease. But reality is changing. Over the past 20 years, studies in the US have shown that stroke rates among people under 50 have steadily increased every year. Where does this come from? A big part lies in modern lifestyle factors. Work pressure and chronic stress. Diets full of fast food, salt, and unhealthy fats. Lack of sleep, little exercise. And even habits that seem harmless, like vaping. When these factors combine, the brain can protest at any moment, even when the body looks young and strong on the outside. I recall the story of Sarah, 38, a marketing professional in New York. She believed she could never have a stroke at her age, only occasional headaches from work stress. One morning, as she prepared for a big presentation, her speech suddenly slurred and her right arm went limp. At the hospital, doctors diagnosed her with a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, a clear warning that without lifestyle changes, a real stroke was imminent. Sarah chose to act. She began exercising regularly, monitoring her blood pressure and resting properly. Thanks to those changes, she avoided the tragedy that could have unfolded. Youth is not a shield against stroke. The greatest danger is complacency. Whether you are 30 or 70, every signal from your body deserves attention. And this leads us to a crucial question. What exactly is a TIA, the so-called mini-stroke, that disappears after a few hours, yet acts as the final alarm before the storm? Let's uncover the truth about TIA in the next part. 6. The stroke that vanishes. Why TIA is a red flag, not a reprieve. Some strokes arrive and leave devastating disabilities, but others appear quickly and then vanish, leading many to breathe a sigh of relief and think, "I'm fine." That is TIA, transient ischemic attack, often called a mini-stroke. Medically, a TIA happens when a blood vessel in the brain is temporarily blocked, cutting off circulation for minutes to hours. Its symptoms are identical to a real stroke: face drooping, slurred speech, weakness on one side, or loss of balance. The only difference, they disappear within 24 hours, often in just 1 to 2 hours. And that's exactly why people wrongly believe it's nothing serious. I remember the story of Helen, 70, from Chicago. One morning, while chatting with her neighbor, her speech suddenly slurred and her left arm weakened. 20 minutes later, everything seemed normal again. She dismissed it as fatigue and carried on. 3 months later, she suffered a massive stroke, this time leaving her paralyzed on one side. Doctors emphasized, TIA is an early alarm. Ignoring it means throwing away your last chance to prevent disaster. TIA is not a reprieve, it's a red flag. If you or someone you love ever experiences these fleeting symptoms, treat it as an urgent sign. Seek medical help, check your blood vessels, and begin preventive treatment right away. But what if one day you actually witness a loved one in the middle of a full-blown stroke? In that critical moment, every choice you make can mean survival or lifelong disability. Let's move into the next part. What to do when it strikes, step-by-step emergency response. 7. What to do when it strikes. Step-by-step emergency response. Stroke strikes suddenly, like a bolt of lightning. And in that moment, how you respond will decide the outcome. Too often, people panic, make the wrong move, or hesitate. And those lost minutes cost the golden window. So what should you do when stroke strikes? The critical steps of first response: call 911 immediately. Don't hesitate. Don't drive the patient yourself. Paramedics have equipment and medication to begin treatment on the way. Note the time symptoms began. This detail is crucial for doctors to know if clot-busting drugs can be administered. Keep the patient safe. Lay them on their side to prevent choking if they vomit. Do not give food, drinks, or aspirin without medical guidance. Stay calm and reassure them. Your composure can lower their panic and help stabilize blood pressure. I remember the story of Michael, 74, from California. One afternoon, he suddenly collapsed in his living room, his words garbled. His wife, instead of calling 911, tried to drive him herself. The trip took 40 minutes through heavy traffic. By the time they arrived, doctors said he had missed the golden window for treatment. Michael survived, but was left paralyzed on one side. The doctors later said, if 911 had been called, his outcome could have been completely different. The lesson is simple. When stroke happens, don't try to handle it yourself. Act like a professional. Call emergency services, ensure safety, and provide accurate details to doctors. One timely decision can change an entire life. But the story doesn't end once the patient survives the emergency. Behind hospital doors begins a long, difficult journey. Therapy, rehabilitation, and the fight to regain every step, every word. And that's what we'll uncover in the next part. Life after stroke, the hard road to recovery. 8. Life after stroke, the hard road to recovery. Many people believe that surviving a stroke means the ordeal is over. But the truth is, it's only the beginning of a long, difficult journey. Stroke leaves behind heavy burdens. Some are left paralyzed on one side, learning to walk again step by step. Some lose the ability to speak, even though their thoughts remain clear inside. Others live with depression and the constant fear of recurrence. Recovery after stroke isn't just about medicine. It's about reclaiming dignity and rebuilding trust in life itself. I think of George, Swan, from Texas. After a severe stroke, he could barely move at all. Doctors told him the chance of walking again was very low. But George didn't give up. Each day, he worked through physical therapy, even if it meant just lifting a finger at first. Each day, he practiced forming words, letter by letter. 6 months later, he could stand, take a few steps, and smile again while talking with his grandchild. His story reminds us that willpower and family support are as powerful as any medication. Stroke doesn't end when you leave the hospital. It demands patience, family support, and the patient's own belief that progress is possible. Every small step forward is a victory. But here's the greater truth. Instead of fighting only after a stroke, we can stop it before it starts. Through lifestyle changes and healthy daily habits, we can stroke-proof our lives. Let's move into the next part. Prevention is power. How to stroke-proof your life. 9. Prevention is power. How to stroke-proof your life. If stroke is a storm, then prevention is the roof that keeps you safe before the storm arrives. The good news is this. More than 80% of strokes can be prevented with small changes in daily living. Eat the right way. A diet low in salt and saturated fats, rich in vegetables, fruits, fish, and whole grains can significantly cut stroke risk. Many doctors recommend the DASH diet or the Mediterranean diet, proven to protect both the heart and the brain. Stay active. Just 30 minutes of brisk walking a day can lower blood pressure, improve circulation, and reduce stress. Yoga and Tai Chi are also gentle yet effective choices, especially for older adults. Monitor your health regularly. Check blood pressure at home. Keep track of blood sugar and cholesterol to catch problems early. If you have a family history or conditions like atrial fibrillation, stay especially vigilant. I think of Linda, 65, from Seattle. She had high blood pressure but ignored it, believing she was still healthy. When a friend her age suffered a stroke, Linda decided to change. She reduced salt, walked every morning with her friends, and went for regular checkups. Years later, her blood pressure is stable, her body's strong, and she still enjoys playful weekends with her grandchildren. Her story proves that prevention isn't complicated. It starts with small daily choices. You can't control your age, but you can control how you live. Prevention is the gift you give yourself and the people you love. And at the very end, after all the knowledge, stories, and lessons, what matters most is holding on to one simple truth. One moment of awareness can change an entire life. Let's step into the final part. One moment, one life. The takeaway that could save someone you love. 10. One moment, one life. The takeaway that could save someone you love. Stroke doesn't choose a day, an age, or give you a warning. But one thing is certain. We can change its outcome with a single moment of recognition and timely action. Remember the story of the 12-year-old girl in Texas who saved her grandfather's life simply because she knew the fast rule? One decision in seconds, one call to 911, gave him the chance to recover and gave the family more years together. And then there are sadder stories, like Helen in Chicago, who ignored a fleeting TIA and months later was left paralyzed. Had she treated that moment as a warning, her life could have been completely different. The lesson is clear. Life is shaped by small moments. 1 minute of hesitation can cost a future, but 1 minute of the right action can save a lifetime. So what is the biggest message from this entire journey? It's this. Stroke is not destiny. You can prevent it, recognize it, and act to save your loved ones, even yourself. Before we close, I invite you to take 3 simple steps. Remember fast, and teach it to your family and friends. Share this video because it might reach someone in time to save their life. Take care of yourself starting today. Eat well, stay active, and get regular checkups. Because sometimes, just 1 second of awareness, 1 quick decision, is enough to protect a lifetime. For you or for someone you love.